Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Chef 2 with your favorite chef, myself. Anyways, today we're doing a big floss in the red apron. Shout out to my roommate and his girlfriend that got me this apron in Christmas. You know how they do it. They know they got good taste and it fits me. Perfect description. Anyways, today we're doing meat sauce. We're making the meat sauce for lasagna, but this meat sauce could be used in a penne pasta. You could use it in a cannellini. You could use it in just any like over pasta, pretty much any kind of pasta you could think of. Just a great meat sauce, and I'm gonna show you guys how quick and easy you guys can make it. Anyways, all you need is just tomato sauce, little tomato paste, diced tomatoes. Either you can go with ground beef, ground turkey, ground chicken, whatever you prefer. I went with the 70 lean, 30 fat. This is means that there's 30% fat in there. You can use the one with less fat content, but once again, for me, fat is flavor, so we're going with 30% fat. So we need garlic, ground beef, tomato sauce, a big pot like this, salt, onion, and some oil. Pretty easy, basic. So what we're gonna add some oil to the pot, and we're gonna sweat all these onions. Hear that? You wanna make sure that's nice and hot. All right, give this a quick stir. Add some salt. And once again, we're gonna add the garlic to it, but since the garlic is small, we're gonna sweat these out a little bit before we can start going with the garlic. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna turn up the heat a little bit. That time too, we're gonna get our ground beef ready to go. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut it. Now, once again, if you're not into the meat, what you can do is you can stick to vegetarian. Once again, all you wanna do is sweat out the onions, add some garlic. Then once that's already cooked and you sweated out the garlic, you're gonna add your tomato sauce. You're gonna let that simmer for a little bit. And obviously, you're gonna just wait till the sauce get nice and hot, and then you're gonna add, a little bit of salt, a little bit of garlic salt. If you have Italian seasoning, at this point, the sauce is pretty much freelance on what you want to add to it. But we're staying a little bit classical on the meat sauce, so just onions, garlic, ground beef, tomato sauce, and then we're just gonna add a little bit of fresh basil at the end, and we're gonna add some fresh basil after we sauce our lasagna, so we have some garnish on it. So at this point, you want to stir once again, like I said, the onion. Get that in there. We're gonna add our garlic, right? At this point right here, what I'm doing, I'm actually making a big pot. This meat right here, which is about 3 pounds, this meat should probably feed about maybe 12 people. So I'm making lasagna. I'm making individual lasagna that should probably feed a person. So what I'm doing, I'm making extra sauce. So I'm making the lasagna and I just want to have some extra sauce. So obviously, if you don't want to make this much, just cut everything in half. But once again, I added like 4 cloves of garlic right here. That was 2 big onions. And obviously, pinches of salt. So once you got the garlic in there, get that in there. All right. At this point, what I'm gonna do at the same time, I'm gonna add my ground beef, because obviously it's gonna take a while to cook. So we want that to cook with the onion. So once you get in that stage, just kind of break it up a little bit. All right, break it apart. Try and get the onions in there. And this is the part where you want to season it. Ground beef. Add some salt. I got Italian seasoning right here. Some Italian seasoning in there. A little bit generous. And obviously my old little classical Lawry's. Can't go wrong with Lawry's. So once you get that nice and seasoned, stir it up again. And once again, folks, add a little bit. Don't add too much, because obviously you could always put more, but you can't take away. So once you get something like this, what you want to do, I want to get everything mixed up. Obviously, use a spoon. I'm using a tongs. Once again, trying to save you guys some time and labor by not using different tools. And I'm showing you at the same time that it's real easy to make. So at this point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna continue to cook the meat. It's probably gonna take about that amount of meat. It's gonna probably take about 5 minutes if I stand right here and I actually keep stirring. And that's what I'm actually gonna do. So we're gonna come back as soon as this meat is cooked, and I'm gonna show you how the onions look when they're completely sweated as well. Then we're gonna go from that step. We're gonna add our sauce, and we're gonna wait for that to reheat as well. And then I'm gonna show you guys how it's gonna look once the meat sauce is done. So stay tuned, baby, because we're doing show you guys what stage we're at. where we're gonna add the meat sauce. So obviously, if you look, we kept stirring. So once again, folks, just stand there and stir, get all that meat fully cooking on side. See those onions? They're nice and sweated. So we sweated them out. We're seasoning the food, salt, a little bit of Italian seasoning, a little bit of Lori. Nothing fancy. Just grab a spoon, taste it. Good flavor. Once again, it's gonna release a lot of juices. If there's too much, just kind of grab a spoon, either drain some or just remove some off. But at this point, what we're gonna do, I got some basil right here. Look at my basil's pretty bad. It's not the best quality, so this is perfect for a sauce. So I'm gonna save some. There's probably about half a cup. I have a cup of basil in there. And then at this point, this is where it all starts getting good. We're gonna add our sauce. Turn on your heat. And this is tomato sauce. We'll talk about this right now. So once again, this is tomato sauce. There's all kinds of tomato sauce at the grocery store. There's actually marinara already made, like Pregos and all that. You go ahead and buy that if you want. I'm showing you guys how to make a meat sauce from scratch, which is just straight tomato sauce. We're using Hunt's. And they also have a Kroger's and a regular generic version of tomato sauce. And once again, guys, for something like this, if you're gonna flavor your food and you're adding flavors to it, in reality, you don't need to buy brand stuff. Use just some basic tomato sauce. But I've worked with Hertz products before, and I'm real happy with the quality of tomatoes. If you really wanted to go fresh, you could actually do the tomatoes yourself, hard boil them, you know, do the whole shebang. But I think that's a lot of steps. So obviously, I added the tomato sauce. I'm stirring right now just to incorporate all the sauce into the meat. Added the basil. We got onions in there. We got that garlic. I mean, it smells delicious over here. I wish you guys could scratch and sniff. But anyways, what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this simmer as well. We're gonna give it about 5 minutes before it starts to simmer. Once again, constantly stirring just to make sure we avoid any kind of burning in the bottom of the pan. That's why if you're gonna walk away, turn on the heat, have a spoon ready to go, and here and there every 2 minutes, pass by, stir the sauce, walk away. But in reality, if you could possibly, if it's possible for you to stand next to your stove top, that'll be perfect. Just stand there and stir. It'll speed up the process. So come back, guys. I'm gonna show you guys the final little stage of the sauce and how it's gonna look before we start building our lasagna or before you make your pasta. So stay tuned. We're back now to the final stage of the meat sauce. So obviously you saw we cooked the onions, did all that. We cooked the ground beef. We took about 4 minutes to completely cook it all off, and then we added our tomato sauce and fresh basil. Wanted to make sure all that starts to boil, and I finally got to the stage where it started to boil. So I turned the heat down. And what I did, I grabbed myself a whisk, right? So just continue. Once again, while I added the sauce in those 5 minutes, I actually stood here in the stove, and I kept stirring to speed up the process. So obviously, what you're looking for is make sure you get a completely boil on the outside, maybe on the inside. But once again, I already got to that stage. So what I did, I removed it. I turned on the heat, and I got it all stirred up. And as you can see, look, guys, it's pretty chunky. There's basil in there. There's onions. Stuff like that. This is what you're looking for. And once again, even though you might think you made a lot, that's fine. You have some left over for your pasta. And obviously you continue to simmer this down and have that tomato sauce continue to reduce, get it richer. Or as we say, you know, it's always better the following day because all them flavors get in there. But obviously this is a quick, easy recipe to get meat sauce ready to go. Once again, if you have pasta already cooked, you get the pasta in a plate, put that sauce over with a spoon, some cheese on top, and you're ready to go. So obviously, guys, thank you guys for tuning in to the Chef Tune video, especially with this meat sauce. One of my favorite easy recipes, especially because it was all made from scratch. So obviously, stay tuned, guys. We're going to show you guys how to make these quick, easy recipes.